Hi, everybody, and welcome. 5 p.m. Here we are. And thank you again for being here with us and welcoming Ramon from Moon Scarab. And he's with us today. I saw you were on earlier with Jonathan out over in
I
Maui, weren't you?
was.
Yeah,
I
that was
was.
awesome.
I traveled back very quick back to the East Coast.
I know. That's one place I never want to leave when I go there. I just love it there. It's so beautiful. Yeah.
Hawaii, yeah, I've never
Yes.
been. I've
Never
been
been?
outside of the country, yeah, to a lot of other places, but um,
Uh-huh.
here in the U.S., there are certain places that I like to go. Especially like the Southwest,
Yes.
Louisiana. I
Hmm.
would love to go to Louisiana, um,
Uh-huh.
and maybe
That's
Hawaii. The
awesome.
thing is that I,
Mhm.
I was born in an island already. I
I
was
know.
born in Puerto Rico, so
Yep.
and I'm not a person who likes the beach or
Oh, you don't?
swimming or I
Oh,
don't.
okay.
I do
Okay.
not.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I would like to go just to I don't know, just explore
So
the
you went.
island.
Yeah.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
see the culture over there. But
Yeah.
to go to the beach itself, not really. But
Not a
someday.
thing you want to do. Well,
Yeah.
there are lots of places to do hiking and explore over there, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just so beautiful. I'm sure you'd love it. And I have been to Puerto Rico, but not a lot, a big part of Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to San Juan. I
San
was on
Juan.
a ship, and we got off. And you know
Oh,
what?
cruise. Oh,
We
San
got
Juan.
off in 2017. We got off. We
Uh-huh.
spent the day in San Juan. We got on the ship. We left, and a hurricane came in and did all kinds of destruction right after
Oh
we
my
left.
God.
Yeah,
That must have
yeah,
been like around September, right? Because that's the
it
hurricane
was.
season. August,
Yep, it was
September.
August. It was
Yeah.
August. Yeah, late August.
Yeah. I'm
That's the one that Trump was throwing paper towels at.
oh my God, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
You can't forget that one, right?
I know.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
from San Juan. I'm from San
Oh,
Juan.
you are from San Juan.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it there. It was beautiful. Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
My
very
kids
colonial.
took the walk up to the fort. I guess it's a
El Morro.
little
There's
bit
yeah,
outside. Yeah.
yeah, there's two of them. There's a very big one. It's called El Morro,
Oh, okay.
and the other one is the castle of Saint Cristobal, Saint Christopher.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
smaller one. Yeah, they're
Smaller
very
one?
close
Okay.
one to the other, but yeah. Every time
Well,
I go to
everybody go
yeah,
ahead.
every time I go to Puerto Rico, about once a year to see my parents, I
Uh-huh.
always go to El Morro. It's like
Uh,
the biggest of the forts. Is amazing.
mhm.
I just love that place, and
I
I've been
bet you
going
do.
I mean since I was a child
Mhm,
because it
mhm.
has it's in front of the sea, and it's just you're standing there and seeing the how magnificent the expansion of the sea.
Yeah,
It just like and the
I know.
oxygen and the breeze is it's amazing. It's amazing.
It is, it is. So
And right
even though
next
you
to
don't like swimming, you do love to
I love
see
the sea. I love the
expanse. Yeah,
sea. It's
yeah,
so
yeah.
powerful. It's such a
Uh-huh.
powerful uh,
Yeah.
a view. And
Mhm,
there's a
mhm.
cemetery right next to it. It's a very old, beautiful cemetery. My great grandfather is buried there, and it's
Oh,
it's amazing. It's an
I bet.
exquisite, beautiful cemetery.
Uh-huh.
I like
Wow.
cemeteries too.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
the
I do too. They're
architecture, right?
wonderful.
The
Yeah.
the
Uh-huh.
architecture of the tombs, and I don't know. It's like the energy is
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Then you will like it in New Orleans if you go to Louisiana because they have the cemeteries are built up because you
Mm.
can't bury anybody there. It's below sea level. And so
Oh.
the tombs are like up
Mm-hmm.
and not buried. But it's very
Interesting.
cool. They have all these beautiful wrought iron fences and things. So yeah, you'd love it there.
Yeah.
That's
Some
awesome.
days.
Yeah. Hey, you're still young. You can go.
No, yeah. Of course.
um,
It's
Paula says as a kid, she lived in Carolina in St. Juan by the airport. Didn't wear shoes
yeah.
when I skateboarded. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's where my parents live in Carolina. It's spelled Carolina,
Oh,
but
it's
it's
Carolina?
pronounced
Hmm.
Carolina. Yeah, actually, the airport is in Carolina. They say San Juan Airport because it's the metropolitan area.
Sure,
They have the
sure.
town of San Juan and some other towns. That's the
Yeah.
metropolitan area of San Juan, but there's also San Juan the town. But my parents
Ah,
live in Carolina. Yeah,
got it. Well, isn't that's amazing, Paula? I'm glad you put that up. Look at that. Small world, right?
right.
Very
Hmm.
small
The
world.
world, the world's a handkerchief.
The world's a handkerchief. I love that. Oh, Mary, you worked in a couple of cemeteries. Well, nobody bothers you there unless you can hear all the ghosts. But
That is true.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
true.
Oh, they do, Sherry. They're burying now in the ground. You know, I remember when there was a really bad something or other in New Orleans. Of course, it's they call it Nolans. Um, but a lot of those uh, caskets and stuff were floating down the river. So I guess they thought they better find a way to bury them. So okay. Ness is here, Moira's here, Paula is here, Laura, Sherry. Hi, Sherry. Nice to see you. Anya is here, Dancing Debbie, and Mary Thornberry, and who else is he? Okay. All right. So Ramon had a wonderful idea. Before we take readings, and I did click off for those of you who would like a reading in the second half. He was thinking that we could do a show that talks about animals in the tarot. He's got the Rider Waite, and I got the new one by Radley Valentine, and like this is the Fool, and in this one it's the Dreamer, and it's a little dog, a shepherd puppy. So it's going to be totally different from what you've got. But I just thought it would
Mm.
be fun to look at the differences in them. So
Hmm.
yeah. So I'll let you have the floor. Tell us
Of
where you want
course.
to start. Yeah.
Well, first of all, animals, they play an essential role in maintaining a healthy environment in our world, right? They help
Hmm.
contribute as pollinators, controlling pests, and in most occasions, even mitigating climate change. They're all around us and they're part of our world. And in the
Yeah.
case of tarot, it's not an exception. We see animals of all different kinds portrayed in my case in the Rider Waite Smith, and it's
Hmm.
interesting that the same animal can have different meanings depending on the
Hmm.
card.
Sure.
So we're going to explore a lot of them in I'm going to do it in alphabetical order,
Okay.
and use the Rider Waite as I mentioned,
Yep.
but within each one of the categories of the animals that we mentioned, if you want to show images of the one that you have and talk about it, that's great.
Hmm.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
So the first category I'm gonna start with is birds. Now,
Okay.
in the Rider Waite Smith, there's a lot of specific birds. You know, like the eagle, the ibis, the falcon. But I'm gonna talk about this one specifically. Start with this one in general because there's a couple of cards in the Rider Waite Smith that you can see birds. You're not able to tell what kind of bird is it, but you see birds and they have a symbolic meaning. And the ones that we see that have birds as a general category, let me
Hmm.
specify, it's the Page of Cups. You see the birds up here,
Uh-huh.
right? You're not
Yeah.
able to tell what kind of birds, but
Hmm.
birds right there. We see it on the Knight of Cups, on the Knight of Swords
Knight of Swords.
up there, the Queen of Swords up there,
Hmm.
and the King of Swords up here.
Huh.
And what do they represent in this suit? Well, the birds here have several meanings. First of all, they represent the element of air. Swords represent air, and the bird is a symbology of it. You know, when you look at these cards, you can see images of these birds. You almost feel like the breeze by looking at these
That's
images, right?
true.
Like, for
Uh-huh.
example, on the Knight of Swords, you see the motion. You even see, like, the the clouds, you know, moving.
Hmm. Hmm.
And birds are very interesting because of their ability to fly high up in the sky, close to the heavens. Birds have long been seen as a link between the spiritual world and the earthly realm, and a lot of cultures have seen them as messengers to the gods. Second, they symbolize freedom. A bird flying is a universal symbol of freedom because it represents the ability to take to the skies whenever necessary. And their ability to fly unconstrained by gravity means that they represent both freedom and independence. You know, we all know also in the same way, a bird in a cage is a symbol of freedom taken away. The
True.
very phrase bird in a cage represents the lack of freedom. We can also consider that their vantage point of view symbolizes being able to look at things from a different perspective. Birds can fly naturally, whereas us humans can't. And as such, the symbol of the element of air in the swords card, this symbol of the birds, invite us to be free of mind, unconstrained, and let our mental capacities expand. The skies are the limit.
Sky's the
So,
limit. I love it.
you right? So
Yeah.
that's the first category. Birds, just in
Okay.
general. We'll talk about birds, specific birds in the Rider Waite. But that's the
Okay.
first categories,
That's the
birds in
first one.
general.
Okay.
What do you got?
Well, I got the 8 of air. What would that be?
Eight of swords.
Wands? Oh, it's swords.
No
Okay.
swords.
Look at all the birds in here. Wow. And the bird in here is in the cage, but the door is open. And I'm wondering if, because it's a domesticated bird, if it doesn't realize that it's the others are free. They don't have to be caged. But the door is open. So, I often see in oracle cards as well where um, the there are birds, or I've gotten a cage before, and the person is standing outside the cage or behind the cage, but they think they're being caged in, but they're not being caged in. It's just
Mm-hmm.
an illusion. So I'm guessing this is an illusion.
It
So
is.
yeah,
Yeah, and
okay.
that card is equivalent to the Eight of Swords, which is pretty similar. It's this woman
Okay.
that's blindfolded and she's surrounded by eight swords.
Yep.
And she has all this space in front of her that she's able to walk to,
Mm-hmm.
but in the mental level, I mean, she's constrained in the physical sense, right? She's
Right.
tied up, she's blindfolded, but
Mm-hmm.
this is also a representation of the limits that most of the time we put ourselves. There's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
opportunities and the path is open for us, but sometimes ourselves, we blindfold and tie ourselves up to our fears, our prejudices, our
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
insecurities. And like in that case, like you mentioned, the bird with the cage open, it's not able to discern that it's free, that the door is
Mm-hmm.
open.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. So Moira says bird in a gilded cage equals 9 of Pentacles.
Nine of
Uh,
Pentacles.
yeah. Is
Yeah, the Nine of Pentacles is the lady with the falcon,
Oh yeah. And that's
right?
what she wanted to know
Hmm.
about. She wanted to know about the Falcon.
We
That
will
she
get
asked.
there when we get to
Okay.
F.
When we get there. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
There's actually
Don't want to
two
rush.
two animals two animals on that card, and we'll get there.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Can't rush it. Yeah.
Okay. Now the
You're
the
helping me
next.
because I don't even know really a lot about the tarot. So this is helping me a lot. All right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's an opportunity, to
Yeah.
talk about the cards and compare them with other ones.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah. So the next animal we're going to talk about is the bull. And in which cards do we see this? We see it on the King of Pentacles, right here. We see it on top
Yeah.
of
Oh
the
yeah.
throne,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
See it right there. There's bulls over here too. There's a bull on this side,
Uh-huh.
right? We see it on the World card here on this corner.
Uh-huh. That's true. This aren't there 4 different animals around that
Yes, there's four
besides the
different
bull? Okay.
animals. Yeah,
Okay.
and we'll
Yeah.
get to the other ones.
Yeah.
Well,
That's fine.
there's three other animals. The fourth one is some people call an angel. It's really a man with wings. It's
Okay.
which we can see on this card. It's also here on the Wheel of Fortune. Now,
Mm-hmm.
it's a
Mm-hmm.
bull with wings,
Right.
but it's not really considered a bull. It's called a tetramorph, which
Oh.
is a combination of different animals. and
Hmm.
each one of them, they represent one of the four elements, but they also represent the fixed sign of each one of the elements. And in this case, it's a man with
Hmm.
wings, just like
Right.
we have the bull with a wing.
Right.
And we'll get to the other ones, but those are the three cards that we can see them. And in the case of the Wheel of Fortune, like I mentioned, is a tetramorph, which is a composite of one more than one animal.
Uh-huh.
With the King of Pentacles, we see the symbol of the bull on the throne of the King of Pentacles, and here
Correct.
it's a symbol of the Earth element and Mother Earth as well.
Hmm.
Mother Earth in her fertility, bulls generally represent strength, fertility, leadership, power, and these are protective qualities that and attributes that a king should have. And
Hmm.
the imagery of the bull is a universal symbol of strength and power in different
Sure.
cultures. You know,
Yeah, definitely.
The Celts estimated the bull for their virility. In ancient Egypt, multiple sacred bulls were venerated, and they were actually housed in temples for their entire lives and embalmed
Hmm.
and buried. A couple years ago, I went to Egypt, and there's this area called Saqqara, and there's a
Hmm.
step pyramid there, and
Yeah.
right next to it, adjacent to it, there's a complex in which they 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 found these gigantic sarcophago, uh, in which they believe the bulls were buried. They were
Uh-huh.
gigantic,
Yep.
huge,
Yep.
and you know, in Hindu
Awesome.
mythology, we see a bull. It's called Nandi, and he's the main vehicle of Shiva. Even in
Hmm.
Greek mythology,
Hmm.
you know, we had the Cretan bull, which, according to the legend, it was born from the queen and a bull. We know it as a
Right.
minotaur, and so
Yeah.
on in different
Right.
cultures, you know.
Yep.
And we often associate bulls with hostility and aggressive bursts of energy, but that's not everything that there is to the bull. There's a spiritual symbol to it too.
Hmm.
It's a symbol of wealth as well. As if you've been to New York, especially to the financial area, where Wall Street is, there's this gigantic bull, and it
Yes.
represents both strength and wealth.
Hmm.
So that's what that's what the bull represents in different cultures, and the same thing here. You know, it's strength, it's power, but it's also, especially in the case here of the King of Pentacles, power, but it's also associated with uh, earthly earthly success. You know,
Yeah. Awesome.
do you have a bull around?
So I can't find a bull. Um, I'm finding lots of lions and tigers and bears. um, I'm not seeing one. Interesting. There's a lot of domesticated animals in this particular deck. Um, would you say that if it's going to be anywhere, they have the Earth, like the Knight of Earth? I'm wondering if the Earth sign is like Pentacles, isn't it?
The Earth sign, yeah, it's Pentacles.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
the bull is one of the fixed. It's one of the fixed four. What's one of the four fixed signs, and
Okay.
the bull represents Taurus, and Taurus is an Earth sign,
Right. Okay. I only
and
get a cow for some reason.
well,
That's not
you're
quite.
close. You're
That's
close,
not
right?
quite what we wanted. Her honey isn't with her. Yeah. I don't. And I'm trying to find. Um, See, this is why I love other decks of tarot, but if you only know the Rider Waite deck, which is really the only one I'm more familiar with, then oh wait a minute, that's not a bull though. Okay, then it's hard to like these are they say the moon and the sun, and then they have renewal, and they
Hmm.
have the world and
Cow.
awakening, but the words are even different. So
No,
anyway,
the cow is a powerful symbol as well. You know,
that's true. Yeah, I love them.
represents motherhood,
Hmm.
nurture, provides milk.
Right.
Um, like in India, cows are sacred.
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
You know,
knew that.
and
Yep. You
and
never eat
that
cows because it could be an ancestor. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
right.
I have a niece and she's married with an Indian guy, and she lived in
Hmm.
India for a couple of years, and she will send me photos and videos, and you can see the cows walking around the neighborhood,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Oops, I'm sorry.
and it provides sustenance to families, with the
Sure.
milk and in cold times. Not that it's that cold over there, but in other cultures, cows will also provide warmth to the house.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
mhm.
Um, all right.
All right.
So what's the next one we got?
The next one is our butterflies. And in which
Oh,
cards do we see this animal? We see it
okay.
in the Knight of Swords.
Hmm.
Where do we see it? Right here by the horse.
Oh my goodness.
Those are
You
butterflies.
saw that? I've looked at that card 100 times. I don't think I ever saw that. That's
Yeah.
Orion. Okay.
On the Queen of Swords, her crown are butterflies.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
See?
Hmm.
Oh, and her throne too at the bottom. That's a butterfly.
Oh, there she. Yeah. Wow.
And the King of Swords on his
Uh-huh.
throne on the background.
Oh, yes.
You see?
Hmm.
And a butterfly is a symbol of metamorphosis.
Yep.
And it's very pronounced changes, right? It's
Yep.
very intricate, the stages that it goes through, from an egg to a caterpillar to a chrysalis and finally to a butterfly.
Uh-huh.
And it's a long journey to get to that
It
state,
is.
right? That state of
Yep.
beauty. And it's similar to the human soul. The human soul goes through similar stages of growth and development as the butterfly. It's the symbolism of the butterfly in tarot is very similar to that of our soul and nature itself.
Sure.
They also represent the suit of air.
Hmm.
There's nothing
Hmm.
besides birds. Butterfly. It's You see a butterfly, and it's a clear representation of metamorphosis, but also uh, the air element
Hmm.
and its evolution.
Well, you'd be
Yeah,
interested to know that I have all these cards in the major arcana that have butterflies. One of
you
them
do.
is the Hermit.
Uh huh.
We have Awakening, which I'm guessing is um hmm, what's the one where there's um, a crypt or and there's all the angels standing around it. It's
Oh,
not. It's
judgment,
Judgment.
judgment.
Yeah, I'm wondering if
Mm-hmm.
that's what that is. We got the World with a whole bunch of butterflies on that.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the Moon with a big cat and a butterfly. The Star, Life Experience, and the Dreamer. All of those on
Wow.
this in this deck have butterflies. And
Wow,
I
that's
do
beautiful.
know enough to know that when you're going through each of the major arcana, there are different spiritual things that you're transforming and changing into different
Mm-hmm.
lessons for the fool. So I'm thinking that that's why it's like they're in there because you're transforming as in each card that you go through. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, though, if you consider the fool's journey, he's
mhm.
going through different experiences and lessons, and at the end, you get to the world card where it's that sense of completion, of
Yep.
full circle, right? The end of
Right.
the of a stage, and then going back again to a new one,
Do a new
right?
one. Right. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So the next animal is the cat. And in which card do we see the cat? On the Queen of Wands.
Uh-huh. Yep. The
And
black
this,
cat. Yeah.
yeah, and this cat, this animal has always been a mystery, but it's
Hmm.
actually a real cat. It
Yes.
was a cat called Snuffles, and it was the cat of Edith Craig, who was a friend of Pamela Coleman Smith. She was a costume designer, a stage
Uh-huh.
theater designer,
Cool.
and originally the plan was to do a leopard for this image, but
Uh-huh.
Pamela Coleman Smith and this is one of the designs that it's was directly created by her. She
Hmm.
used the cat as an inspiration, and
Okay.
it was immortalized on this cat, and eventually done in other subsequent decks that people have made. The cat always appears, but the cat is
Oh,
also a symbol of, femininity, intuition,
yep,
uh,
definitely.
power,
Hmm.
mystery, magic, independence, right? Because cats are
Right.
very independent,
Hmm.
and also it's very connected with spiritual growth, empowerment, and tapping into feminine wisdom,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And cats have always been seen in ancient cultures too as spiritual protectors as well.
Hmm. Yep.
So having the cat here in this card was a very interesting addition,
Yeah.
and it was actually based on a real cat.
I didn't know
And
that
more,
story. Thank you. That's really cool.
yeah,
Yeah. Yep. Does she also,
yeah,
there was a cat also go come along with the high priestess? I can't remember.
no,
Is she,
at least
no
not in the
cat.
Rider Waite. No,
Okay. Okay.
maybe in other
So,
decks, definitely,
yep.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
So I got three cats here. I got one that's ego. I have a Persian cat who is the queen of fire, and it says that is a very independent woman. So that might be the queen of um, who's the one that's her that is in charge of there's one that's in charge of an estate. It's like the one with the falcon on it, but
yeah,
it's
the
the other
Nine
one.
of Pentacles.
Nine of Pentacles. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then here's one in the six of air. We got a big cat, bigger than the boat even. So
Mm.
yeah, this
The
is a
Six of
rescue.
Swords. Yeah,
Yep.
the
Okay.
Six of Swords,
All
and
right.
it's on the Rider Waite. Is it has this very similar theme. It's three people on a boat,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
it's an air card, right? Because it's sword, but it's
Right.
traveling over water, so it's that interesting contrast of the mental process and the emotional, because they're
Mhm.
going through a journey, over water. And I'm
Right.
trying to see if I can pull the card, but
So
it's
in the
similar
water.
in its depiction. Yeah. I
Uh
don't
huh.
see it right now, but yeah.
Yeah. And I don't see one on the water cards for some reson. Oh, yes, one of them is. It's the seven of water. Look at all the cats. Yeah.
Seven of water.
Whole bevy of.
I never had a cat.
I
I've
haven't
always
either.
been a
No.
dog person, but
Me too. Yeah.
I've taken care of feral cats. And
Uh
my
huh.
niece recently got a cat for the first time. She was always allergic to cats. She's
Hmm.
always been a dog person, but her sister is a vet, and she rescued a litter, and she was trying
Oh.
to find a home for them, and
Uh huh.
kind of convinced her sister to get the cat out, and she's now in love with the cat. That's her baby. She's always
Oh.
carrying it, and he
Meant to
loves to be
be.
yeah,
Yeah.
she loves to
Yeah.
be pampered by him. I think she
Oh.
gives him a special. His name is Vader because he's dark, he's black,
Hmm. Yep.
and she gives him a special food to avoid the allergic reaction. But this
Oh
is the
wow.
card I was talking about.
Oh yes. 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 Is there a cat on there? No.
No, there's not. No,
No.
there's only
But
one
you could
cat on.
imagine there would be one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
maybe it's a long stretch, but it's that sense maybe of independence in this case.
Hmm.
She's this person. We don't know if it's actually a woman. We say it's a woman, but we don't know
Yeah.
if it's a woman. This person is making that journey, um, seeking for their independence. Having that freedom of moving from one place to the other, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny too because the story of the Titanic just came up in my mind. Like you said, we don't know if it's a woman. And remember, the men got on the lifeboats and they dressed like women so they could get on. The
Uh-huh.
ones that were
Uh-huh.
kind of interesting, kind of an interesting
Yeah.
tidbit. All right. Awesome.
So
What
the next
the next
animal
card?
is the crayfish. You can say it's a
Oh,
lobster too, but
True.
usually
Okay.
it's they call it a crayfish, and
Mm-hmm.
it pops up only here on the moon card.
Moon.
And this is the only card in the major arcana that is only animal energy. The rest of the cards, there's one
Yeah.
person depicted, or even
Uh-huh.
some mythological creature, but in this case it's all animals,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And like all crustaceans, they're associated uh, with emotions, rivers, female energy, and the moon, and therefore it's a standard feature on the moon related symbology.
Yeah.
And this animal is a symbol of protection, exploration, transformation, rejuvenation, and also emotional growth. And if you think about it, this is kind of a representation of us. We have to go deep into water, into our emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and surface to be able to walk the path of life. To me, this is a very powerful image because you see, and we'll later discuss it, but both the dog and the wolf represents two sides of the human
Mm-hmm.
nature,
Right.
and you see the fish walking out, balance between those two symbols and making its way
That's right.
through the world, right? Under the enigma of the moon,
So
mystery,
would you
you
say
know.
that those two, the dog and the wolf, are one's domesticated, one's not, and so it's walking between those two
Yeah,
ideas as well? Okay.
I didn't want to spoil it because we're
Yeah.
gonna talk about them, but
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
they represent our animal instinct,
Animal
or
instincts. Yes. Uh-huh.
yeah, and the domesticated one, right?
Yep.
that that contrast that we all live with,
Mm-hmm.
balancing our rational
Shadow.
side and our
Yep.
irrational one, if we
Right.
call it that way.
Yep.
And you see the crayfish making its way through those two different energies. We
Right.
have two pillars right there, and
Yep. The middle
this
ground.
balance that we
Yep.
have to go through and make it through life. And at the end you see mountains, which
Uh-huh.
usually represent challenges.
Challenge.
And it's a very interesting representation of
It
us
sure is.
humans,
Yes,
right?
it sure is.
Yeah.
My moon card is very different. I have the moon, and it's a lynx. It's a lynx. I find that to be
Mm,
interesting.
beautiful.
Um, I know you can read cards in all kinds of different ways, depending on what the question is and what you see on the card. But I feel it's really moved away from, let's say, the historical way that the card is read. But it says to trust your intuition even if you're unsure. So I that's the moon. So
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes the words make up for the symbology. So okay, awesome.
Yeah, you have a butterfly there too.
I have a whole bunch of butterflies. I really do. They're everywhere. Yeah. Yep.
All right. So the next animal we're going to talk about is the dog. And in which cards do we see the
Okay.
dog? All right. We see the dog in the
Hmm.
Fool right here,
Right. Yep.
the white dog.
Yep.
We see
Hmm.
it, as we mentioned, on the moon,
Right.
right? And we see it on the Ten of Pentacles,
Hmm.
you know.
Yep.
And let's start with the Fool. So, as we know, the Fool is making a journey into the unknown, taking that leap of faith. It's a fresh new start. And we see the dog, and the dog plays a very important role. A lot of people, a lot of people say that it's warning the Fool from making that step, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Other people say that the dog is actually encouraging him.
Oh, really?
You know, I don't know. It could be both, honestly.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
And from the dog's body language, because I have two dogs, right? And when they're
Yep.
very excited, I tell them, "Oh, let's go to the patio. Let's go for a walk." They start like do that jump, like yeah, yeah, and they
Yeah.
put their paws on my leg, and to me, it seems like the dog is actually encouraging him to
Yeah.
take that leap of faith, right?
Yep.
To do that, take
Yep.
that step. You know what's interesting, and I was talking with someone about this the other day, is that we in reality we don't know what's under there, right? We assume that
True.
it's a cliff and it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna fall to nothing, maybe
Yep.
some other rocks at the bottom, but we don't know if there's another level that he's able to jump, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like an analogy of us, the fool, he has his ideas and his purpose of what he wants to do, how he wants to move forward, and we consider this person being a fool because we might not have the whole picture, right?
Right. Right.
And
Yep.
maybe he made a decision and he knows it's going to be a safe one, and even if it's not safe, it's what he wants to do,
He wants to
and
do.
he
Yeah.
has a better vision of his purpose and his path that we do, and we consider a fool. We don't have the whole picture of what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
one way or the other, if the dog is warning him, it's reinforcing the idea that, in spite of the possible dangers, he's still moving forward. And
Mm-hmm.
if it's the dog encouraging him, the dog plays also then a very powerful position, because he's kind of what sets in motion, helps set in motion the whole journey of the
Yeah.
fool through the whole major arcana, right? That little
Mm-hmm.
dog is kind of is the the thing that is propelling
Yeah.
this this
Yep.
this trip, right?
Yeah.
So he might be underestimated, but I think it's a very powerful symbol for this card and the
It
whole major
is.
arcana for that matter, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I have an interesting take on the Fool, and I kind of like this. There's a lot that is there. First of all, it's a shepherd puppy, and look, the water isn't. He just jumps over the water. He's jumping, but look at the pack is in the corner, so the guy is already gone, and the dog
Mm-hmm.
is sort of looking up at the butterflies that are there. But look what's in the background. There's an angel there,
Mm.
and so it's like um, it, I want to say it's the dog's angel. It's an angel of protection. And so if there is an angel on the other Fool card that you have, which there isn't, but if there
Yeah.
was, then it was like the dog trusts something, we tend to believe the dog.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling, because at least dogs know if somebody's not good. Usually, they don't like them. They really don't like them. And if they really are an animal person, they will go and respond to them and they will love them. So that's pretty cool. And I get a dog on the world, and he's the grown-up version of the dog. And there's those butterflies again. Just interesting that
That's
that
interesting.
yeah, that the
I love
what they've
dogs.
chosen for me too.
I have two dogs, two Chihuahuas. They're my babies. They're terribly
Uh-huh.
spoiled. Actually,
Uh-huh.
I have them here on my phone too.
Oh,
This
they're adorable.
Yeah, it's a long hair Chihuahua. This one,
Uh-huh.
uh,
Yeah.
let's see if I can pull it back up. This one, her name is Mona. She's the queen of the
Mona.
house.
Okay.
And this is Sophia. She's a Chihuahua Terrier.
Oh, and
Yeah,
they're
and
best friends. Yeah.
yeah,
Right?
and
Yeah.
Mona's gonna be 13 years old. Mona is no, not really, because Mona's the queen of the
Oh.
house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And she was here first, and it's all her.
Yeah.
And she has me
I get it.
trained when to give her treats
They
and
do
take
that.
her off to her
They
bed.
do
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
she
Yeah.
trained me, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm happy. I'm happy to have them in my life.
To be that
They
way,
bring a lot
sure.
of joy.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
That's
had the
awesome.
dog in the Fool. We have the dog
Hmm.
in the Moon card,
Yep.
and we went over it. Represents our docile, domesticated side, that side
Right.
of us that it's in control, right?
Yep.
And the third card that we see it is in the Ten of Pentacles. and it's the scene of,
Oh,
the
that's true.
family with different
Yes.
generations,
Uh-huh.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And the dog, here is very interesting because it's that link. The man is the old man, or the senior person here is touching the dog, and so is
Mm-hmm.
the kid. So it's that symbol of like a link between these two generations.
Yep,
It's it so like
it
reinforces
is.
that sense
Mm-hmm.
of a peace, that atmosphere of peace and security within this card, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we
So
had the
you
dog.
said fire is pentacles, right?
No, pentacles are earth.
Oh, well,
Wands are fire.
all right.
Swords are air, and cups are water.
All right. Well, I got a 10 of fire with this big German Shepherd dog. I thought that was interesting. He's
Hmm.
like, the one they would send out. I'm sorry, St. Bernard. What am I saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you said that was the 10? Yeah, here's the 10 of earth. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, the golden. And look at it's the mother. So not only are they generational in representation on your card with the old man and the child, but we're representative of family here with the mother and the father and the pups. So
Mm.
interesting. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Next card, we had the dove. And where do we see the dove? We see it on the Ace of Pentacles.
Mm-hmm.
And, this is a very spiritual card. And, in ancient times, birds were seen as spiritual messengers, and they were held in high regard. It's
Mm-hmm.
Christianity incorporated many pagan elements, including the dove. It's known for their peace loving nature. And we can remember the story of Noah, released a
Mm-hmm.
dove to be able to know if the land was dry, to be able to go back and repopulate Earth.
Right. Yep.
And in this case, the dove represents that divine connection, that connection between the divine and us. If you see the dove is, like
Yep.
blessing that cup
Yep.
flowing, four streams of water into
I
that
get the
pond,
same thing on
into that
mine.
body of
There's
water.
the dove in the Ace of Water. There you go.
There
Wow.
you go.
Yep. It looks like yours, except it's, different, different. Wow.
Hmm.
Okay. It's
All
kind of
right.
fun. This is a way to learn the cards, It really is.
So the next animal we're gonna talk about is the eagle, and we see the eagle in the Wheel of Fortune up here, this
Yes.
corner,
Mm-hmm.
and the World card. We only see its face, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the symbol of the eagle in both of these cards represents Scorpio, which is a water sign. So we
Mm-hmm.
have, in the case here, man. These are four fixed signs. You had the mutable and the cardinal and the fixed signs. So in the
Mm-hmm.
case for each one of the suits, the corresponding fixed sign, in this case, it's Aquarius, represented by the man or air.
Mm-hmm.
We have the eagle, which represents Scorpio, a water sign. We have Leo, represented by the lion, a fire
Mm-hmm.
sign. And we
Mm-hmm.
had the bull, represented by Taurus, an earth sign.
Right.
And norm, a lot of times when we think of Scorpio, we don't think of an eagle, right? Why is
Right.
Scorpio represented as an eagle? Scorpio is the only zodiac sign that's represented by a lot of different animals, and these include the spider, the scorpion, the lizard, the serpent, the wolf, the eagle, the phoenix. And in this case, the eagle, it represents like a much more mature stage of Scorpio.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
we see them in both of these cards, and that's what it represents. It represents the fixed sign of Scorpio, a water sign.
Wow. It's very interesting that our president is a Scorpio, and the eagle is the symbol of the United States. I just find
Mm,
that fascinating. Yeah.
yeah.
Carolyn wants you to know that you are growing a white feather from your right shoulder that was delivered by
And what?
someone you love. Yeah. Somebody you
Oh,
love sent you that. Yeah.
oh, thank you.
It's not
I
good
thought I
to,
had a feather.
no, it's not bad. It's good.
Okay.
She can see things. So, yeah.
Oh, good. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. All right. Do you have an eagle in your cards?
I don't. There's no eagle
You
anywhere.
don't?
No,
Hmm.
I know it.
Interesting. All right. So let's move on to the next animal. And
Okay.
the next one is the falcon. And where do we see
Yes.
this animal? We see it in the Nine of Pentacles. And it's this image of a
Right.
lady. She's nicely dressed in
Hmm.
her estate, right? Very
Right.
elegant. And the falcon here is, I don't know, that accessory, if you will, to the theme of the image, right? Because it sort of like reinforces that sense of comfort, luxury. But,
Hmm.
and this is my personal thought, if you see it on the flip side, it's also a representation of being tethered, right? Because this bird is not free. It's
Huh?
domesticated and
Right.
it's under her control, and in that sense it's kind of a representation of her, right? She's very comfortable in her material wealth, but she's
Hmm.
also tethered to all this wealth and comfort that she has, something that she has to maintain to be able to continue in that state, right? So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
the falcon is both a representation of the comfort that she's living, but at the same time being tethered to these earthly goods. That's my
Okay.
personal interpretation to that.
Sure.
But
And isn't a
yeah.
falcon very, are they the ones that you put your arm out and they fly back and forth? You train them?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one? Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
know
Mm-hmm.
hawks do that too, but yeah, so the falcon is sort of, to me, it also represents the fact that something that's not domesticated can be domesticated, and part of the way that this woman finds her wealth, her wealth. She's got a
Mm-hmm.
wealth of a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that I think about it, the falcon going back and forth, you can think too that material goods and wealth are things that in the same way, they can come and they can go,
They can go. Yeah.
so it's
Yes, they
right.
can. Yes. Yes.
So
I
it's
love
it.
that card. I love that card because it's like a woman with her own money. It's a woman who is who is
Independence,
independent.
right?
Yeah. Hmm.
I'm in charge.
I'm in charge.
This
Yeah.
is all mine. And we see grapes too there, right?
Oh,
It's sort of like
yes.
a representation of
Uh
wealth as
huh.
well, earthly
Is there a
goods.
snail on there? I know you haven't got to S, but
Yes,
Moira
there
wanted.
is.
All right, so
Yes,
you haven't got to S. Okay. All
right
right.
there, that
So
tiny little thing right there.
what do you think that means?
Do you want to know now, or do you want to wait till
Oh,
we get to
if
S?
you're gonna, all right, that's fine. That's
Yeah,
I
we'll
can
go
wait.
over
You
it.
go over it. Okay. I didn't
All
know how
right.
many animals you were gonna go through, so okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I have a couple more.
Okay. No rush.
So the next one is the fish. And where do we see this animal? We see it on the Page of Cups,
Yep.
right? We see a
Yep.
fish coming out of his cup. We see it on the Knight of Cups, on his clothing right here.
Uh-huh.
Those are all fish. And we see it on the King of Cups as well. We see it on his necklace right there. And we
Mm-hmm.
see a fish back here.
Yes.
And it's a symbol of fluidity, just like our emotions. It's a one of the strongest representation of water, of fish.
Right. Uh-huh.
And it's very interesting in the contrast between the Page of Cups and the King of Cups, right? Because the fish here is on the forefront, whereas
Yep.
on the King is on the background.
Right.
And it's kind of a interesting analogy in the sense that the page, he's young, his emotions are fluid, maybe uncontrolled because this represents sort of like the surprise, the fish popping out of the cup. But
Uh-huh.
here, the fish is on the background, so it kind of represents a mature person that is in control of their emotions. And yeah, but that's one of the animals that has the strongest representation of water, right? The
Right.
fish, and
Hmm.
we see it on these three cards.
And you should know I don't like them. I'm afraid of fish.
Are
But look
you?
what I got. Yeah. I have I have this whale. It's the king of air, humpback whale. And
Hmm.
the only other thing I have that's close to a fish is a sea lion, which actually has nothing to do with a fish. Um, but I don't see any a sea turtle. I have a sea turtle. But see,
That's
that's not a
close.
fish either. Yeah, not a fish. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. What am I saying? Look at all the fish around the sea turtle. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
I love
There
fish.
there you
I love fish.
go.
I have a fish tank,
Well, they're very
and
good for meditating and stuff. I do know that. My
hmm,
feeling is I think I had a past life where I was eaten by a big fish, and I've never been able to get over that. So
or you were a fish that was eaten,
I could have been. That's
right?
right. Yeah.
So the next animal is the fox. And where do we
Mm.
see the fox? On a very small detail here on the Queen of Wands. She has a brooch right there with a fox,
Oh my goodness. Never, never did I see that. That's amazing.
right?
Yeah.
And in tarot, the Queen of Wands is also often associated with qualities such as charisma, creativity, confidence, and the fox here can symbolize, you know, cunning,
Hmm.
adaptability, and resourcefulness. Reflecting the Queen's ability to navigate through challenges with cleverness and grace. So it's a
Right.
very interesting, symbolism. Small one, right? Like,
Yep.
you're
Yep.
taking me for granted, but I have this small hidden thing that you're not able to see,
Talent.
right? And
Yeah.
we see it right there in the fox.
Uh-huh. There's a lady I follow on Instagram, and she had a fox give birth to a whole bunch of babies in her garden. And she didn't bother them at all, but she filmed them, and they have never gone away. They keep coming back to her
Oh,
garden. They love
really?
it there. Over in the UK, yeah. So it's
Wow.
kind of cool. Yeah.
I
I don't have a
saw
fox.
I saw a fox here in my neighborhood, a red fox. I've seen it a
Yeah.
couple times. It comes out at night. There's a
Uh-huh.
big park a few blocks from where I live, and
Hmm.
my partner saw a deer many months ago, and I
Hmm.
saw a fox the other night, and I think it was the first time I've ever seen one in the middle of the night. Of
Wow.
course, my first instinct was to try to feed it.
Sure.
I always try to feed animals. I'm always feeding the squirrels in my patio and birds. I have a bird feeder. I love feeding animals.
Uh-huh.
And that was like my first instinct. I was like, oh my God, what do I have with me that I can leave for this fox? Do I have an apple that
Yeah.
I didn't eat or
Yeah.
something?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard their voices? They have a funny
No.
voice.
Mm-mm.
It's like it's a totally different voice that you would never imagine. You go in and put Fox voice or something and listen to it. It's amazing. It's just amazing. Jeff says, Ramon, in all seriousness, when I was a child and sick, that dream kept repeating that a shark ate me, which in hindsight makes me think I was a fish. That was a synchronicity. That's interesting, Jeff.
Huh.
That's cool. Yeah.
For the longest time, I was afraid of dogs because when I was like 10 years old,
Uh-huh.
I was almost bit by a dog. I have these
Mm.
very thick genes, and
Hmm.
luckily it didn't break skin.
That's good.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So
Oh, okay.
the next animal, the horse.
The
And
horse.
where do we see the horse? We see it on the
Yeah.
sun with the
Oh,
child right there.
that's
Beautiful white
true.
horse.
Yeah.
We see it on the Six of Wands right here.
Hmm.
We see it on the Death card,
Yes,
another
definitely.
horse.
Uh-huh.
Um, we see it, and we see it on all the knights of the all four suits. I have two of them here, but
Oh,
all four knights have a
yep,
horse, right?
they do.
And the horse is the animal that makes the most appearance in the Rider Waite, and
Hmm.
they represent motion, momentum. Because just imagine these characters without a horse, right?
Right,
Death going
right.
around uh, uh, taking lives without a horse. He wouldn't be as
Right.
efficient, right? But this animal, this majestic animal, embodies the spiritual power of independence, freedom, endurance,
Yep.
confidence and triumph. And this animal has been an ally to humanity in war and peace. So
Uh-huh.
it, our society has jumped very big leaps thanks to having this animal in our lives, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Battles and
when they have gone
transportation.
across the steppes in Russia, that when the Mongols were going, they didn't stop to eat, they didn't stop to sleep, but they had a horse and another horse tethered to them, and they would drink the blood of the horse that was tethered, and then later they'd switch them out so they could
Mm.
keep going. And it's just such an interesting story. But here I have the magician as a horse, which I find fascinating because, oh no, I'm sorry, it's not a horse, it's a unicorn.
Mm.
Wow, I didn't notice that. All right. And the other one is the King of Earth. I have a horse, Irish cob horse. So,
Interesting.
wow, very good. That's Pentacles. Yeah. Oh,
S-
thanks, Ginger.
Next animal, the ibis. What
Hmm.
is the ibis? The ibis is a bird, and it's this bird that we see on the star card back here.
Oh my God.
That's
I got to
an
start looking
ibis,
at these
and
cards better. Yeah.
yeah, and it's a bird that you hardly ever hear sing.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
you see them a lot in Egypt, and the ancient Egyptians had a special law that if you mistreated a ibis, you will face death. Why?
Oh,
Because they consider it a divine animal, and it's
yeah. Yep.
associated with Jehudi, which is Thoth. Thoth is an ibis, right? And
Right.
Thoth is the god associated with writing, with protection,
Hmm.
a lot of different things, right? And
Hmm.
for them, for the ancient Egyptians, it was a very, very sacred animal,
Sure.
and we see it represented here. So it's like that
That's not the
connection
one
of
with the head of a bird and the body of a different animal, is it? That's not what you're talking about.
no, it's
No. Okay.
Thoth. Thoth has a. I mean, uh, what's this other god that has a head of Horus has the head of a
Horse.
falcon,
Yeah.
but
Thank
it's
you.
Thoth that has the head of a ibis.
Ibis. Okay.
Long beak,
Long beak.
and we see it
Thank you.
represented here. Do
Hmm.
you have an ibis on your card?
I don't think so.
It's too
It's on the
exotic, right?
star. Is it on the star? Is that what it was on?
It's on the
This.
star on the Rider Waite.
Okay. I don't see any ibises.
Yeah.
I still see an awful lot of butterflies, but we've passed that one.
Yeah, and they found countless amounts of ibises mummified
Oh,
as they
really?
excavate, and they keep finding it was a sacred bird for them.
Sure.
Um,
Wow.
and it's Thoth is also associated with the underworld.
Yep. Yep.
So it was a strong representation of divinity for them.
Sure.
We see it here.
Hmm.
All right. Next animal. Shall we continue?
Sure.
You okay? So we
I'm
have the
fine.
lion.
Hmm. I got
The
a lot of
lion
those.
in Yeah. Do you want to do your lines first while I pull mine?
Yeah. Let me. Oh, can I find him? Is the question. Not there. I actually have a seahorse. I find that interesting. All right. Here's one. Strength, of course, which in the Rider Waite is the woman behind, putting her hands almost in the mouth of the lion, right? On the strength card, I believe. This one
Yeah.
is doing the same thing, but you can see the lion is with the lamb. So there's, he's accepting the lamb is accepting the lion as not going to, I guess, not going to eat him. Let's see what else I got. Well, where are you, lions? I know I've seen you. Got a cheetah. That is quite what I want.
Kind of close, right?
Turtle. There was a video on, I think that's the only one I can find right now, but there was a video that I saw a number of years ago about lions around their prey, and they grabbed a small baby deer or whatever it was. It was a small
seen
animal.
that video.
You've seen it? Okay. It's
Yeah.
amazing, isn't it? And they managed to get it away from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in the Rider Waite, we have the lion on the strength card, of course. We have it on the Queen and the King of Wands here on the throne.
On the throne. Yep.
Right there. And here.
Oh, yes.
And we have it on the Two of Cups. And of course, we have it also on the World card and the Wheel of Fortune. But with the Two of Cups, this is actually called a chimera. A chimera is a mythological figure that is composed of different animals. And in this case, it's the head of a lion and wings of a bird.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
I mean,
That's
you can call it a lion, but it's also a mythological figure. But, the lion is a symbol of strength, of power, of control. And, here it's the counterpart of this lady, right? And she's not forcing the lion, right? She, with her inner strength, her loving energy, she's able to subdue the lion.
Right.
It's very peaceful.
It is peaceful.
On some yeah, and it's kind of like a different tone from Marseille. I've seen some Marseilles that the character is actually like trying to open the lion's mouth or something. But here,
forcing it.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point, right? Strength, against the strong creature. But here, the tone of strength is different. It's a much more peaceful one.
Sure.
And here it's with the Queen and the King, it's more of power, right? Of control that they have. And here, the partnership. This is like I said, the chimera is usually considered feminine. The caduceus, which is this symbol down here, it's male. So it's like that partnership between male or female, which is similar to the symbology here, right?
Right.
So that's
Plus that caduceus has the snake on it, I think.
Yeah.
But maybe not in that representation. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we'll get to the snake too.
Okay.
Do you have any? Oh, we went over the lion with you, right?
Yeah, we got the lion.
Yeah. We have the lizard.
Oh,
And the lizard, where do we see the lizard? We see it on the Page of Wands, on his clothing.
Oh, yes.
We see it on the Knight of Wands, which I can't find right now, and the King of Wands, right here.
I know that. All right.
And this lizard is actually a salamander, and salamanders It's not a generic lizard. It's actually a salamander. And the word salamander comes from Greek, and it's a
Mhm.
fire lizard. And the
Oh.
representation of the salamander in this case is the element of fire, and it's always been associated with it through
Mm.
ancient times.
Mhm.
It's a very strong spiritual symbol of fire itself.
Sure. So I get the closest thing is a gecko, and that's the 7 of fire. So,
Seven of
yeah,
fire.
yeah.
All
I
right.
don't see any
Next
other.
one is the rabbit, which we see
Ah,
on the Queen of Pentacles, right? And it's that symbol of femininity. Um, it's associated with the moon as well. The
right.
moon is a feminine energy as well,
Mhm.
and we see it represented here. Sometimes it's hard to see, but
Mhm.
it's that it represents also fertility, speed
Yeah.
in this
Yep.
case.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I
Do you have
got
any
2.
rabbits?
Yeah, I got the Empress as a rabbit. Look at that one. That's interesting.
Beautiful.
It's a beautiful one too, an Angora rabbit. And then I got the Queen of Earth, which is the rabbit and its baby. So the Belgian hare. Yeah, that's cool.
Hmm. All right. So the next animal is the ram, and we
Ah,
see it represented on the Emperor card. We see it right here
oh yeah.
on the top, here on the throne, and there's a fifth one which a lot of people don't realize, and it's right here on his shoulder. Right there,
Oh
that's a
my
ram.
goodness. Yes. Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
You see it
Mm-hmm.
right
I
there.
can.
And it's that symbol of strength, power, sacrifice too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a symbol of the zodiac Aries, which is
Aries. Yeah.
the
Mhm.
zodiac associated with the emperor. It's a cardinal sign as well, and it's ruled by the planet Mars.
Right.
Astrologically, Aries is associated with rulership, government, and leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very powerful symbol for this card.
Look at my Emperor card. It's a deer mouse. I find that to be like totally confusing. Um,
Hmm.
but it says, "Don't be afraid to take on a leadership role if you have wisdom to offer." He's got all his food and all everything lined up. But to me, this is this. I just wouldn't say that would to me be the Emperor. But
Hmm.
yeah,
All right. So the next animal we're getting to S, the
yeah.
snake. And where do we see the snake? We see the snake in the Lover's card right
Mm-hmm.
here. We see it with the Magician on his belt.
Mm-hmm.
That's a snake.
Mm-hmm.
We see it on the Two of Cups, here represented as the Caduceus, and it's that intertwined, intermingled symbol, which is very similar to the spirit of the card. We see it on the Seven of Cups, which is one of the options in front of this person.
Mm-hmm.
And we see it on the Wheel of Fortune,
Ah, yes. Mm-hmm.
right? And the snake has different symbols depending on each one of the cards, right?
Right.
Here, it's symbol, because of the story of Adam and Eve, it's, kind of like represents temptation.
Mm-hmm.
But the snake is like one of the wisest animals,
It
and
is. Yep.
it's we see it since ancient times. It's been used as a motif in temples.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, like in the case of the magician, it's the snake biting its tail. It's like a symbol of continuity, eternity, and it has both positive and negative connotations.
It
It's also a
does.
symbol of transformation, right? Because the
Mm-hmm.
snake sheds its skin,
Sheds its skin.
so
Yep.
it's a symbol of rejuvenation, healing, transformation,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very interesting that we see it represented in different ways, both positive and not so positive, in the Rider-Waite deck.
It reminds me of how the ocean can be very positive when we sit by it and it's serene and it's lovely, but it can also be deadly when storms come up and overtake us. So that there is always that sort of double-edged sword. You know, something beautiful can also be terrifying, and the same thing with a
Hmm.
snake. You know, he can really help or he can really hurt. So thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I saw a snake in my patio the other day. It was a
Did
baby
you?
snake. Yeah, I think it
Oh.
was a ball python, and
Oh my.
oh, yeah, I was very small, and
Oh.
I was cutting the grass, and it's great that I saw it on time, and I moved it to another area of the patio, so it was safer.
I didn't know they were wild like that. I thought you had to,
I don't know
like, get those. Yeah.
if
Did
it someone released it, but
mm,
it's not the first time that I've seen it
okay.
in around, you know.
Yep.
And we got to the snail.
Ah, we
High
did.
five. We
There we
made
go.
it. So we
We
have the
made it.
snail here on the
Uh-huh.
Nine of Pentacles, right there. That
Yep.
very small detail there, and it often symbolizes a slow, steady approach to wealth and success, right?
Right.
It kind of suggests patience, perseverance, and the ability to enjoy the fruits of one labors at a leisurely pace.
Mhm.
It emphasizes
Mhm.
then the importance of taking your time to achieve your goals and appreciate the journey rather than rushing the result.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
beautiful. I love that.
it is a
And Diana was saying, in the chat, she also you could see it also for when you're gardening, that, you know, the same quiet, um, you know, resilience of something. Here we don't get snails. Here we get slugs, which is the snail
slugs.
without the house on it, and they are gross.
Mm. They're all beautiful in their own way.
I know
I I have
that.
aquatic snails
Oh
in
yeah,
my fish tank.
in
I
your fish
love
tank.
them, and they're yeah. I have a
Yeah.
fish tank, of course, with fish, but also with snails,
Okay.
and they're like these little aliens floating
Yes,
around the
I like the
tank,
little antennas. Yeah.
right? And they're so peaceful. When I get home stressed from work, I sit in front of my fish tank just to look at the snails, and they
Sure.
calm me. They
Oh,
bring that sense of peace,
that's awesome. That's
right?
awesome. I love that.
Next animal. I'm gonna mention this because I've seen it like in forums and other places talking about it.
Hmm.
Some people think that under the foot of the King of Pentacles, that thing right there is a tortoise. And I heard that
Oh,
is the head of a boar or like all these different theories, but it's actually a rock. It's not a
uh-huh.
tortoise. That's why I brought it up.
Okay.
And I'm glad it's not a tortoise because just imagine the cruelty of a person stepping
Yeah,
on an indefense
that's
animal
right.
like that, you know?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
I don't think I can.
the last one is the wolf, which we already saw in
Mhm.
the moon card,
Yep.
right? And it
Hmm.
represents our animal instinct, that contrast between our docile or, domesticated side and
Yep.
the animalistic, instinctive side of us, right?
Hmm.
And it's interesting. Dogs evolved from wolves, right?
Hmm.
And
They do.
they've been through that process of domestication for thousands of years, and it's a totally different animal, and in the same way we have to go through that process of like domesticating our emotions, our feelings, to bring it to a point in which we're able to control it. So it's that interesting contrast between one side of us and
Yep.
the other.
Yep. Yeah.
So those are the
Wow.
animals on the
Those
Rider
are
Waite set.
wonderful. What a wonderful group of, well, I mean, everybody's been very, very interested. Uh, Miss Tara D says, "Don't tell Allie. She thinks that we're being serious with our studies tonight." Oh,
You know,
that's funny. That's
there's
funny.
more to explore through in these cards. I actually have a
Sure.
video on my channel in which I go in detail through each one of these animals. But the video also talks about mythological figures that are present in the Rider-Waite, because we have these characters that are not animals or they're
Hmm.
humans. You know, like in
Yeah.
between. You know, like
Yeah.
we have Anubis represented as a jackal. We have sphinxes,
Hmm.
right?
Yep. On
On
some of the cards. Yep.
yeah, on the chariot card, we have angels.
Hmm.
We have the devil. We have the chimera, which I mentioned. We have the
Hmm.
caduceus. There's like all these different figures that also have a meaning and and a powerful symbolism through all the cards. You know. And
Wow.
on that video, I explore in detail each one of those too. They're part of that video. It's called
Sure.
Animals and Mythological Creatures in Tarot. So I invite you
Fabulous.
to check it out.
Yes, everybody,
So,
please go over to Ramon's channel at Moon Scarab. Um, I'm trying to get him to simulcast next time. He didn't have the information this time, so next
yeah,
time he will,
I'm
or
I'm new to
whatever.
lives. I'm new to lives, and I just discovered
Uh-huh,
how to simulcast. I could have done it a long
uh-huh.
time ago, but next
I know
time.
it's good. It's
It's
all
never
good,
late.
Miss Tara D says your channel's amazing and you're a
Thank
great
you.
teacher. So that's very true. Thank you, Miss Tara D.
Thank you. I'm
Um,
just
Mary's
a humble student.
a humble student.
Yeah, I just like to share what I know.
I love it. Mary Thornberry says, we have something that my neighbor says is half wolf and half coyote. It is big but not fat and pays no mind to humans or animals. It just trots across the field. Wow.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
hybrid dogs. There's hybrid dogs that people
Yeah.
have that,
True.
you know, their dog and wolf, or like,
Wolf. Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
and in
Yep.
some states it's prohibited to have them, you
Yep.
know, as pets.
I know. There's a lady that I know who actually there's a wolf rescue, I believe it is, in Kentucky, in one of the areas that they take, any wolves that maybe were left behind, the parent died or whatever. So um,
Yeah.
well, we don't
So
have we are a little bit over, but I think we can maybe oh, Harley said she watched it earlier today and it was your video and it was amazing. That's
thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. So I invite you, if you have an animal, a pet, even
Hmm.
if that's a wild, you know, animal that comes to a patio, just show love, you know,
Uh-huh.
compassion,
Yep.
especially our pets, you know, because they play a very big part in our lives, you know.
Sure.
And if you don't have one and you want to share your love, there's rescues that
Yep.
in which you can reach out to make an impact in their lives. You know,
Oh,
it doesn't have
definitely.
to be necessarily adopting a pet. If you can, that's fantastic. If not, a donation to your local rescue. But you know, let's show some appreciation and love to these
Mhm.
creatures that, you know, bring a lot to our lives and our world. You know, because
Sure.
animals have so many different functions. You know, like I
Uh-huh.
mentioned, they pollinate trees, they help with the environment. Just show some love and appreciation, because they're also, you know, creatures that we share the world with.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I know, Jen. My son is very allergic. He had to get Schnauzer dogs because he was allergic to everything else. And Anya said she's surrounded by bears where she lives. But
Mm.
I don't know. I know Anya's still here. Paula Rovita, are you still here? I have two questions here before we leave. If we could just
Yeah,
do that, that would be
totally.
fine.
Hmm.
Um, Anya says that she would love any information you get, with or without cards, or a message from her dad, who passed in 97. She says she's a salsa dancer and loves Latino culture, food, and dance. Wow, that's
Mm.
awesome.
Interesting.
That was what I spent all my time when I was in San Juan doing, was sitting and finding the best food I could ever have asked for in this restaurant. We all just really had a wonderful meal there. It was great.
So I pulled two cards for you. and
Okay.
one of them is the Knight of Wands. And this
Oh.
is a card that talks about, you know, that nothing can break your spirit. It's a card of that invites you to have hope, to have courage, and to see any opportunity that is challenging to us as a test of faith. So the message that I'm getting from the divine is from the spiritual realm for
Mm-hmm.
entertainment purposes only, and and
Mm-hmm.
this is something that could apply to any of us,
Mm-hmm.
is uh, keep your sights straight. Don't let anything that could be considered a challenge break your spirit. There's always a path of growth, of connection that we can make with, our departed loved ones, with the divine, and even with yourself. To know that any challenge that comes your way, you can overcome it. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing that can break your spirit. And if it's the second card that I pulled, if it gets to a point that it's difficult, sometimes we need to talk with someone, and even the process of talking helps us heal and see the situation from a different perspective. Is the Three of Pentacles, and
Oh
this is
yeah.
a card of
Uh-huh.
collaboration, of teamwork, but also reaching out to those people around us that can add positivity and help us seeing these challenges from a different point of view. So
Wow. That's
it's a com
beautiful.
right, it's a combination of seeing your any difficulties as ones that you can overcome. And if it gets to a point that becomes difficult, don't be afraid of sharing your emotions, of opening it with people who can appreciate, that can add to to for you to overcome them. That's what I got for you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So I pulled some cards from one of my decks that says that Dad says you're so conscientious, you're always cleaning things up that are left behind. And I get the feeling he really loves the fact that you love to do all those beautiful um, things like salsa dancing and eating and enjoying your life. And he says the things that you like are not just material things, they're beyond material. They're things that, you know, have meaning behind them, and experiences are something that you seem to be pulled to. And finally, he said, I also love to see you play. And he says, all your life, you're what you're doing, you're playing and you're enjoying yourself, and you're not. It, once we stop thinking that we are too old to do something, then we can really live the rest of our life and enjoy it, because we aren't. We can do anything we want. He said, keeping play in your mind makes you that special person. So, all right, that's awesome. And she says, I'm blessed to have people I can go to. That's wonderful. That's just wonderful.
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much, Ramon. This was fun. Ramon's got lots of ideas. So we'll be back soon, I hope. And
Of
we'll bring
course.
something else. We'll bring something else to you so you can learn some more. But
Yeah.
thanks, everybody. Thank you all in the chat. And
Thank you
have a
all.
beautiful,
Thank you,
yeah,
Ali, for having me
uh-huh,
again
sure.
for the third time. I'm honored to be here, and
Yeah.
hopefully, it's just a few of many more to come.
Absolutely. I love
And
having
thank
you
you,
here, and I
everybody.
love doing the
Thank
different
you.
things. Yeah. Thank you.
And
All
thank you,
right.
everybody, for being here. Blessings to all.
Yeah. Blessings. Bye, everybody. We'll see you soon.